live on Masti AVI right now. हमारा चल रहा है cooking show which is called Cooking Comes Alive, the only show of its kind across Southeast Asia, जहाँ पर रेडियो स्टूडियो से लाइव हम किचन के अंदर घुसते हैं और लाइव खाना बनाते हैं।
पहला अगर आपका स्वागत करता हूँ सिंगापुर रेडियो मस्ती 24/7 लाइव की वो महफिल जिसे आप थ्रोबैक थर्सडे कहते हैं।
रेडियो मस्ती 24/7 पर आप हमें दिल की आंखों से देखते हैं, लेकिन मस्ती एवीआई पर हम भी आपको देखते हैं और छेड़ते हैं। Best of audio and visual entertainment, games, star interviews, contests, full on Masti.
Masti AVI.
Masti AVI. Masti AVI. Masti AVI. Follow us on Radio Masti 24/7 live Singapore Facebook page and watch all shows on Masti AVI tab on our app Radio Masti 24/7. Masti AVI, meaningful entertainment at your fingertips. Brought to you exclusively by Radio Masti 24/7.
A very good evening and welcome. This is Masti Media Network and of course Masti Media Network का एक खास कार्यक्रम जिसका नाम है अरे पहले अपना तो नाम बता दूं मैं, फिर तो किसी और का बताऊंगी। Well, of course इस समय आप हमको सुन भी सकते हैं और देख भी सकते हैं मस्ती एवीआई के जरिए। ये खास प्रोग्राम्स जो आप तक पहुंचते हैं and they are very niche, very special. And साथ ही साथ में रेडियो मस्ती 24/7 के जरिए आप हमें सुनते हैं 24 घंटे। कौन है हम, क्या है हम? Well, let me tell you that this is of course the one and only platform which is live across Southeast Asia, catering to all the Indian expats and the Southeast Asian communities. मेरा नाम रेणुका है। अगर आप नहीं जानते हैं मुझे अब तक तो definitely you are new to the platform and I welcome you. आज का दिन क्यों खास है? Well, इसलिए खास है क्योंकि आज के दिन हमारे साथ जो जुड़ रही हैं वो अपने में ही बहुत खास है। You know what? I've known her for a while and मुझे उनकी पर्सनल लाइफ के बारे में कभी कुछ नहीं पता था, ना मैंने कभी जानने की कोशिश करी थी। लेकिन समटाइम्स व्हाट हैपेंस इज दैट द जर्नी दैट वी ऑल शेयर, उसमें कहीं ना कहीं एक अपनापन जुड़ ही जाता है। आई वुड से दैट इज द एडवांटेज ऑफ बीइंग इन दिस इंडस्ट्री एंड ऑफ रेडियो। मैं हमेशा बोलती हूँ कि रेडियो से बढ़कर शायद ही कोई ऐसा मीडिया होगा जो कि वाकई लोगों के दिलों तक पहुंचे। So well, on this occasion of National Girl Child Day, जो कि 24 जनवरी को मनाया जाता है कल के दिन में, well, उसी के ओकेजन पर आज हमारा ये खास कार्यक्रम आप देखने वाले हैं। एंड ऑफ कोर्स यहाँ पर सबसे पहले मैं वेलकम करना चाहती हूँ मेरी ही एक बहुत ही प्यारी गर्ल चाइल्ड फ्रेंड, उनका नाम है रुचिका। जो मुझे बहुत दिनों के बाद यहाँ पर देख रही हैं और इसीलिए बहुत अच्छी बन रही है मेरे साथ, जो हेलो ब्यूटीफुल बोल रही हैं। वैसे एक बात आपको बताऊं, ये जो गर्ल चाइल्ड है ना, इनमें खूब सारी खूबियां हैं। शी इज ब्यूटीफुल इनसाइड आउट एंड ऑफ कोर्स एट द सेम टाइम शी कुक्स अमेजिंग। तो मैं इनको हाल ही में बोल रही थी कि रुचिका तुम्हारे कुकीज बहुत याद आ रहे हैं। Well, that is of course the side tracking of this conversation. लेकिन सबसे पहले मैं आपको वापस उस जगह लेके जाना चाहूंगी जहां पर, as I mentioned a while back, it is National Girl Child Day. आप और मैं सभी जानते हैं that when we talk about girl child, especially from the part of the world जहां से आप और हम आते हैं, well, there are lots and lots of topics that suddenly come to mind. Female infanticide एक बहुत ही बड़ा, आज भी बहुत बड़ा एक टॉपिक है हमारे भारतवर्ष में, जहां पर लड़कियों को नहीं ज्यादा प्रेफर किया जाता, लड़कों को प्रेफर किया जाता है, राइट? एंड क्यों किया जाता है? वेल, आई हैव नो लॉजिक बिहाइंड दैट, बट दैट इज एग्जैक्टली व्हाट हैज बीन हैपनिंग फॉर एवर, फॉर मेनी ईयर्स। तो आज भी बंदा ये सोचता है, यार ऐसी क्या चीज है, लड़कियों में क्या कमी रह गई? लेकिन द वे वी आर ब्रॉट अप, द वे अ लॉट ऑफ अस काइंड ऑफ अंडरस्टैंड द रियलिटी, धीरे धीरे जैसे बड़े होते हैं हमें समझ में आता है दैट यस वी आर डिफरेंट दैन बॉयज, बट डिफरेंट होने का ये मतलब नहीं है दैट हम कम हैं या हम अपने आप का ध्यान नहीं रख सकते। वेल, आज की जो कि कहानी है, इट इज नॉट ओनली गोइंग टू बी टॉकिंग टू यू अबाउट अ गर्ल चाइल्ड एंड द स्ट्रगल्स, बट एट द सेम टाइम गोइंग टू शो कि अगर सही मायने से हमें पढ़ाई लिखाई और हमें नर्चर किया जाए तो हम किसी से कम नहीं हैं। और कम हो भी क्यों, लड़का हो या लड़की, इट इज ओनली अ मैटर ऑफ जेंडर, राइट? नोबडी एवर सेड कि एक दूसरे से कम है। बोथ हैव देयर amazing limitations and amazing advantages and strengths, right? उसी के बारे में बात करेंगे. I love you too, रुचिका. एंड ऑफ कोर्स एट द सेम टाइम छोटे से ब्रेक के साथ में मुझे लगता है कि मुझे अपनी गेस्ट को आज लेके आना चाहिए. क्यों? बिकॉज वो जैसे ही यहाँ पर आएंगी ना तो थोड़ी सी एनर्जी और ज्यादा बढ़ जाएगी हमारे यहाँ पर. सो ऑन मस्ती मीडिया नेटवर्क एंड ऑफ कोर्स ऑन रेडियो मस्ती 24/7 आई एम प्राउड to bring here on stage Akshita with me, who's going to be sharing about her amazing journey from childhood till now. She is a single mother. She has a professional woman, and of course, she's totally independent. कैसे? चलिए जानते हैं. अक्षिता, वेलकम टू द शो. वेलकम वेलकम. बहुत खुशी हो रही है आपको यहाँ पर देखकर. मुझे इतने सालों से जानते हैं एक दूसरे को, कभी बात ही नहीं हुई हमारी, है ना?
Thank you so much, Renuka. Thank you, Radio Masti, Antra, and each one of you, for having me here. This is an amazing platform to come up and have this conversation. I'm so glad.
Thank you so much. कब से सुन रही हैं आप रेडियो मस्ती 24/7? बताइए, कब से जानती हैं हमको?
Ever since our Masti Showcase days with my son.
That's true. That's true. So मैंने अक्षता आज के दिन में आपका एक छोटा सा इंट्रोडक्शन ऑफ कोर्स मैंने यहाँ पर दिया, बट एट द सेम टाइम मैं ये सोच रही थी कि व्हेन वी रिसीव्ड योर ईमेल, राइट, एंड जब हमने आपने खुद ही हमें आकर अपने बारे में बताना शुरू किया एंड यू इंट्रोड्यूस योरसेल्फ टू अस एंड विद अ वेरी वेरी ब्यूटीफुल कॉज यू सेड कि मेरी स्टोरी से बहुत सारे लोगों को एटलीस्ट हेल्प हो जाए, you know, किसी को भी हेल्प हो जाए, तो it is something that you are giving back to the society. So that totally gelled with us. So tell me, Akshita, before we get on to, you know, how strong a woman you are, hats off to you. मुझे ये बताओ कि कहाँ पे पैदा हुई, सिंगापुर कब आई, कैसे आई, how did all that happen? Tell me more about you.
Okay, I'm from, of course, India, Karnataka se hu, and there's a small city called Hubli. Which is where I studied, and then I pursued my higher education, which is MBA in finance in Bangalore. So I worked for a couple of years in Bangalore before I moved to Singapore in say 2007. Over 17 years now. Yeah, shadi ke baad I moved here because the husband was staying here, and then here. Happy to be part of Singapore and the local community. I'm a PR. So it's now me and my son happily living here. I'm a happy single mother to my 13-year-old son, who's, as you know, is a little blessed with music and mathematics. So very glad to.
Absolutely. So बड़ी जल्दी से बता दिया आपने बहुत कुछ. आपने पूरी जिंदगी का सफर 1 मिनट में खत्म कर दिया. Well, let me get you on track again. So Akshita, at what age did you get married, and what about your family background? Tell me a little bit. What was the value? Do you have siblings? You know, and how do you have a brother or do you have a sister?
Yes, my brother stays in US. He works with Google. So it's just me and him. And yeah, to say that I and my family very closely knit, we should say we are mirrors of each other. Absolutely, that's the bond or values we've grown up with. That within the family, it's transparency and open conversation, which is what I practice with my son as well. I can talk with him about anything under the sun, and I've consciously had this bonding or this open conversation just to ensure that when he needs to talk, the doors are open for him as well. So I think that communication has always kept the doors of the hearts open to each other, and we all know the parts of each other.
Lovely. So हम भी communicate ही कर रहे हैं यहाँ पर, and that is the beauty of it all, that through this communication and this platform, we can actually dig a little bit deeper into your life and see if there are any of our audience out there who can really pick on, you know, some aspects of your life, and अगर उनकी जिंदगी में कुछ बदलाव आ सकता है उस वजह से, it's going to be amazing. So tell me, my question about आप और आपके भाई, फॉर एग्जाम्पल, सो घर पे वॉज देयर अ डिस्क्रिमिनेशन बिटवीन यू एंड योर ब्रदर? डिड यू हैव अ फील दैट लड़कियां जल्दी से घर में आ जानी चाहिए, लड़के बाहर देर तक रह सकते हैं, या एनीथिंग? नॉट एट ऑल?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I've been really fortunate to have parents who are so liberal. They belong to a different generation, but they're absolutely present and they've evolved so beautifully over time. So there's not been a single iota of any discrimination between us, say, regarding freedom of choice or education or career choices. Absolutely not. I've been blessed, been lucky in that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Amazing. So, फिर at what age did you get married? At what stage of life? So you completed your education and you got married and you came to Singapore. Is that how things happened?
Yes, so I've done my graduation and then I did my master's in business
Okay.
administration finance. I worked in India for say 3 years with ICICI Prudential, and then I think at the age of 26 I got married and immediately moved to Singapore, and I've been
Okay.
here.
Okay.
And
Amazing. So
proud to be
everything, आप जब अपनी लाइफ के बारे में बता रहे हो तो ऐसा लग रहा है कि everything was going perfectly fine. Born in the right family, a small family, a very loving family, a very educated family with the right focus, and then of course, pretty much by the definition of where we come from, got married at the right age, right? लेकिन फिर उसी में कहीं ना कहीं पर एक ऐसी सिचुएशन आ गई that today you introduced yourself as a happy single mother, right? तो ये सब कैसे हुआ? So tell me, you got married, you came here, and then after a few years, you decided to divorce your ex-husband, right?
yeah.
So क्या circumstances ऐसे create हो सकते हैं किसी भी perfect life में जो कि can lead to something like that?
Sure. Perhaps this ends up touching on certain aspects of the ex-husband, and I apologize if I have to do that. He's no more, and God bless his soul. But if again my story can help anybody in this situation, I'll be glad to talk about it. So I think it's the conditioning, the preset conditioning that happens in our society, that uh, the man is supposed to be the bread earner. He's supposed to be important. His feelings are supposed to be important. Which by nature, I was a very submissive person. Always, you wouldn't even know if I'm at home because there's no sound, there's no voice coming out. I was that kind of submissive person. Perhaps it was taken for granted, and somewhere I reached my threshold, and it started affecting me. And then when I started standing up for myself, it was taken that, like, all these years this person has been submissive. How is it that she's now able to speak for herself?
Right.
That was an obstacle difficult to swallow. And also career-wise, somewhere I've been fortunate to get certain career growth that perhaps were not available to him, which again hurts that kind of male ego somewhere. And yeah, there could be a lot of frustrations that uh, add into that long journey where two individuals reach a stage where they say perhaps it's not made for each other.
Right.
But say that if I had to separate, I would have done that many, many years ago. As a daughter, if I had to separate, or if as a wife, if I had to separate, I would have done that many years ago. But it's the mother in me who kept the marriage going because I didn't want my son to not have a father.
Right.
Eventually, it's the mother in me who took the choice to walk out because I didn't want my son to grow up in that atmosphere. He was growing up, he was understanding what's happening at home, which is when I chose to walk out, because either of the two things would have happened. Either my son would have grown bitterness towards the abusive parent, or he would have grown up thinking it's okay to treat another human being that way, both of which was not okay for him, was not good for him. So that's
Right.
when the mother in me took a choice to walk out.
Wonderful. So I think that was a very, very bold move and a very difficult one, I'm sure, at that time. मतलब आपने, as a girl, as a daughter, as a mother, there must have been different uh, decisions to be taken in your mind, and your mind must have really gone through a lot. लेकिन मुझे ये बताओ, मैं आपकी पर्सनल लाइफ के बारे में तो नहीं डायरेक्टली, I don't want to ask about that in especially, but because you have been through something like that, तो कई बार क्या होता है एक मैरिज में, वी आर नॉट एबल टू आइडेंटिफाई कि ये इश्यूज कब शुरू हुए और कब वो बढ़ गए और हमने रियलाइज भी नहीं किया, राइट? बिकॉज शुरुआत में शायद कभी ऐसा लगता है कि किसी ने सबके सामने कुछ कह दिया तो चलो मजाक कर दिया, राइट? एंड देन धीरे धीरे वो मजाक थोड़ा सा सीरियस होता है, उसको पंगेबाजी और खिंचाई नहीं बोलते, उसको फिर बेइज्जती बोलना शुरू करते हैं क्योंकि खुद को लगना शुरू होता है, एंड देन अदर्स आल्सो स्टार्ट मेकिंग फन, दे आल्सो जॉइन हैंड्स, एंड देन यू स्टार्ट फीलिंग, हे यू नो व्हाट, व्हेन डिड दिस हैपन? एंड फिर आप स्टैंड लेते हो, लाइक यू सेड, एंड सामने वाला सोचता है पहले तो कुछ नहीं बोलते थे ये सडनली स्टैंड लेना शुरू कर दिया, क्या हो गया इनको? एंड देन ऑफ कोर्स द क्लैशेस गो on and on. So, if I were to ask you, what is that first sign where a woman or even a man, for that matter, in a marriage should stand up and say, "No, this is not acceptable." ये कौन सी ऐसी स्टेज होनी चाहिए in your view?
Personally, I think I was a bit too late in taking the stand. As I said, I kept it going because of my son. But the moment you feel inside, it's an instinct that tells you that you're knocking at a wall and not a door. That's the instinct for a person to, start considering when to make your choice. That should be the first signal that you keep knocking and the door doesn't open, it's just a wall.
वेरी ट्रू. सो अगर एक बार वो डिसीजन ले लिया जाता है अक्षता, या तो ऑफ कोर्स वहाँ से जर्नी शुरू होती है एक अलग तरह की, विच इज़ ऑब्वियसली अबाउट लीगल, अबाउट सोशल, अबाउट प्रोफेशनल, हर चीज़ इम्पैक्ट हो जाती है. तो पर्सनल ऑफ कोर्स तो मैं नाम ही नहीं ले रही बिकॉज दैट इज द बिगेस्ट इम्पैक्टेड थिंग. तो ये बताओ कि आपने व्हाट वुड यू सजेस्ट कि सबसे पहले लीगल हेल्प के लिए क्या किया जाए, क्या करे ऐसा इंसान?
True, it's very important to seek legal help क्योंकि शायद हमें पता ना हो कि लॉ में क्या फैसिलिटीज अवेलेबल है. It's not like it's not like one situation may suit everybody. It's a very individual situation, personal and बहुत ही traumatic situation हो सकता है, and what suits somebody else may not suit the other. So it's really important to seek legal help to understand what is available that may suit you. For example, there's something called as a personal protection order, which protects against abuse, any kind of abuse, whether it's physical, verbal, emotional, and not many people know about it. So it's really important to just go and find out, seek the legal advice to see what suits. And also touch upon something like proof of abuse, We all have handled with us. So we've seen several parents in this kind of situation. They've used the recorders on the hand phone when the abuse starts. They don't do it in a hiding way. They usually do it openly with a hope that the fact that it's being recorded can restrain the rage of the person. But sometimes there's so much of preconditioning that क्या हुआ अगर इनके पास प्रूफ है, क्या हुआ अगर इनके पास रिकॉर्डिंग है, हमारे खिलाफ थोड़ी ना जाएंगे, अपने खुद के घर के खिलाफ थोड़ी ना जाएंगे. So ये जो preconditioned mindset है, so that is appalling. But nevertheless, any kind of proof will also help the legal proceedings. So always seek legal help to understand what's available for you.
And what are your choices? Yeah, absolutely. I think कहीं ना कहीं of course उस स्टेज पर पहुंचने से पहले ये conversation तो होती ही है कि listen, I am on the verge. या सो अगर इस समय बचाना है अपने आप को, एंड ऑफ कोर्स फ्रॉम समबडी, सारी दुनिया में बताना कोई भी नहीं चाहता अपनी लाइफ के बारे में. इफ यू डोंट वांट टू मेक अ तमाशा ऑफ योरसेल्फ, देन इट्स टाइम कि अभी से सुधर जाओ, अपने आप को चेंज करो, लेट्स टॉक अबाउट इट. ऑल दैट ऑफ कोर्स इज अ स्टेज व्हिच गोज ऑन. बट टेल मी समथिंग, व्हेन you revealed to your parents that you've decided, obviously they must be aware of the things that led to it, right? तो उनका क्या रिएक्शन था? Were they supporting you? Were they kind of worried about you?
As I initially said, the way our family is born together is we know each other completely. What's going to going through each other, we know it completely because we talk it out. But
Right.
this aspect of it, I had really not shared with them because I didn't want them to really worry about me. They're sitting far in another country, and if they
Mm.
realize that certain situations are happening, be petrified at that age. I
Mm.
didn't share anything about it throughout the journey. But eventually, when we reached a certain stage where we thought it's good for both of us to perhaps consider a decision and spoke about it to my parents. Of course, nobody is happy about it to listen to such thing, but
Yeah.
very quickly they adapted themselves. Uh, they are my strength. They're the source of my strength. Very quickly and maturely, they adapted to a changing situation because you know how the social pressures can be around them, especially at that generation. You will have all the aunties and masis and coming up and asking "Kya hua, kyun hua" and all that. But they were very bold and mature, which gave me a lot of strength and support. But I would also like to touch aspect here is when we talk about family support, which is very critical in that situation because वो जो situation होता है is quite difficult for both the individuals. It's a traumatic situation. It's good to have that solid family support. At the same time, it will be ideal if the family support is impartial. You know, अगर हमारे बच्चे या हमारे sibling के साथ ये situation हो रही है, we very easily tend to assume कि अच्छा सामने वाला विलन है, दूसरा पार्टनर विलन है, ये स्टैंड हम लोग ले लेते हैं जो कभी कभी अनफेयर होता है. So yes, we definitely want to support our child or our sibling, but it just takes a little bit of more open-mindedness and maturity to really try to understand what is going on, and then take a stand to support your family member. Absolutely, but take an impartial stand will be ideal. You know.
So what you're trying to say, Akshita, is that जब भी ऐसी situation होती है तो हमें clearly, because obviously both sides, that we're talking about, they mean well for their kids, right? लेकिन उनको अपने बच्चों की जो strengths हैं और weaknesses हैं वो भी पता है.
हाँ.
They are best judge, right? So अगर अगर पेरेंट्स को लग रहा है कि भाई देयर इज कोई कमी है उनकी बेटी में या उनके बेटे में, तो they should be fair is what you're trying to say
Yes.
here, and
It
not
really.
just say
Yes.
okay because because the child doesn't want, और वो support ही करेंगे.
हाँ.
Yeah.
I mean, they can support. It's a natural instinct to support your child or a sibling, right? But the stand has to be a little impartial, where you don't put the entire blame on the other partner. You
That's
have to
right.
be there
Yeah.
to consider what's happening. It's the basics of what we learn in computers when हम सीखना शुरू करते. Input, process, output, right? So unless you know the inputs, you cannot judge the output to be right or wrong. So
Very.
sincere effort can be made to understand what inputs could have gone through to come to a certain output. And honestly, it's a long journey for sometimes for an individual to reach that output. So it may not even be possible for another person to completely comprehend what all the inputs could have gone in to reach
Very
there.
good.
But
Very
at
true.
least a sincere effort can be made, an impartial effort can be made.
Wow. Gee, bilkul. Very strong indeed and very leveled responses that you are sharing with me, Akshita. We'll take a very short break here, be back in 15 seconds, and then I have a question to ask you.
Yeah.
Make sure you add Masti to your lives. Download the app today and stay energized and connected on the go. Radio Masti 24/7 Live, Singapore's only Bollywood radio since 2009.
Oh yeah.
एब्सोल्युटली जोश में रहिए बिल्कुल यहाँ पर रेडियो मस्ती 24/7 के साथ में एंड मस्ती मीडिया नेटवर्क का ये स्पेशल शो व्हिच इज ऑन दी वेरी प्राउड ओकेजन ऑफ नेशनल गर्ल चाइल्ड. मुझे समझ में ना कई बार ये नहीं आता खुश हो या दुखी हो कि नेशनल गर्ल चाइल्ड वाला दिन है, नेशनल बॉय चाइल्ड का दिन क्यों नहीं है. मुझे डिस्क्रिमिनेशन लगती है लड़कों के खिलाफ, एंड आई डोंट लाइक इट. So, well, anyway, the reason that the facts are कि girl child को ही ज़रूरत है ज़्यादा protection की and of course discrimination से हटने की, and that's why the intervention by the government of India many years ago in 2008 when they started with this initiative. Of course, the International Girl Child का भी एक दिन होता है, which is on the 11th of October, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But here we have this amazing girl child redefining strength, as we aptly name this show. So Akshita, यहाँ पर मैं इनका नाम हमेशा सॉग्स बोलती हूँ बिकॉज़ ये हमारे एक बड़े ख़ास बहुत मतलब जब आते हैं हमारे शोज़ पे तो बिल्कुल बहुत ही एक वैल्यू ऐड कर जाते हैं। ही इज़ ट्यूनिंग इन फ्रॉम दुबई एंड फ्रॉम यूएई रादर एंड वेल ही हैज़ अ वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन। वो कह रहे हैं कि हाउ डिफिकल्ट इज़ इट टू कंडीशन oneself mentally to execute the recording क्योंकि आपने कुछ देर पहले बोला कि phone पे recording and all that is something which you need proof, right? So keeping the evidence safe to ensure it is not destroyed and living with that person in the same house. तो बड़ा मुश्किल है सोचना उस इंसान के लिए जो कभी has not gone through it obviously. So मैं ये सोच रही हूँ कि कैसे आप उनको बता के रिकॉर्ड कर रहे हैं, right? You're not hiding and doing it. So how did you manage that? I mean, if you don't mind sharing.
Yes, it could trigger in different situations. I made it a habit to keep my phone around me, to consciously keep the recorder on a quick button to start recording.
Yeah.
Initially, we tend to have these CCTV cameras at home, to monitor the helper. So
Yes.
had things recorded there. So whenever I take a copy, I used to give him a copy and me myself a copy. I've never hidden anything, and so also the audio recordings or whatever happened on the phone. And I used to make sure that I upload it on some cloud service, and of course, it has to be password protected. I did have my phone thrown out of the window one of the occasion and got it shattered, but nothing stops me. Yeah, I will definitely go in and buy another. I got a smaller second-hand phone, but I did to make sure that uh, the process doesn't stop.
Of course. So tell me, how old was your son at that time when you decided to take this call? 8, did you say?
He was 9 years old. Yeah.
And
So
how did you explain to him? He must have asked questions, right? तो आपने कैसे समझाया? Because it's tough.
it is. It is. But as I said, right from the childhood, we've gotten into this habit that where we sit together every day and share with each other what happens. So he has something called a school story to tell me every day. I have something called an office story or a home story to tell him every day, where we just sit and talk what happened to each one of us during the day. So that's been imbibed in him as a nature, as a second nature, which is why this used to happen even when he was much younger, but he couldn't comprehend this, right? Eventually, when he started growing up, he could understand the unpleasantness at home, which is when he started asking questions. Uh, and I can swear by God that not a single explanation that I gave was to, villainize or victimize either parties. I used to talk facts to him. I used to admit something that I did that perhaps made the other person angry or something that he did that upset me. I used to talk facts to him. And it's amazing how the children these days can have clarity of perception.
True.
He could come up with his own point of view on a given situation, which perhaps neither of us could have thought of. And he used to articulate it very clearly. So
Right.
I'm blessed to have that kind of a child who's so mature at that young age and could take certain stance. And of course, he's been very brave, even with his friends. You have his friends coming and asking him questions, saying, "Hey, where's your dad? Does he not love you? Does he not live with you?" Friends, kids at that age don't realize what they're asking and how hurtful it could be, but they just ask it out of innocence or curiosity, whatever.
Right.
He's been very brave and mature in handling those questions. So I think the open conversation is one key to it, and the other key is both me and him are regular practitioners of yoga and meditation. That's even if you skip a meal, we don't skip that. So that somewhere gives us a foundation of clarity of perception to say what is the path that I need to take, and then it gives you the strength to go on that path and stick to it. The choices both me and he make are never about what's easy or what's difficult. It's always about what's right and not. And once वो visible हो जाता है right direction, then we stick to it, no matter how easy or difficult. So that's
Very
something
true.
that's been imbibed from the beginning that I think helped us in this situation. Maybe the universe prepared us that way from the beginning.
Yeah, I think Akshata, we're all appreciating that you are a very forthcoming, a very candid person. Yeah, so definitely you've been very honest in whatever's happened with you through the years, and I'm sure the way you are saying it, you were very honest even when you had made up your mind to get out of a certain situation in life, right? तो यहाँ पर एक follow up question भी आ चुका है कि though we must always try to remain fair and honest in every situation, जब एक लीगल बैटल होता है तो वहां पर डेफिनेटली मत स्लिंगिंग होती है, इट डज गेट मर्की, राइट? सो उस सिचुएशन में अगर आप सच बोलते रहेंगे तो डेफिनेटली you will not be able to hold ground. I mean, that's what we know. But what is your take on it?
Uh, True. I mean, fortunately, in Singapore, the legal proceedings were quite smooth
Right.
because there was proof enough to not contest anything. Otherwise, these kind of legal cases can go on for years, where
Yep.
one flings mud on the other and vice versa. It drags on for years. But
Sure.
because I had these proofs with me, there was nothing to deny or contest. So within 3 months, the divorce was done.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And without any mudslinging, and you were not a part
No.
of all, right?
No, because somewhere the other party, or I mean, we both acknowledge that there is proof enough, that there's truth of proof. And I was willing to give the recordings for testing to see whether it was any photoshopping done or editing done. It was available. So I
Right.
always call it the justice of universe. Uh, Unfortunately, this case got solved very easily, but yeah, there's another case going on in India, which is involving a lot of mudslinging, a case of inheritance because the father passed away last year, and then my son is supposed to get the legal assets. He's a legal heir, where of course the family is not willing to pass the assets to him. So it's fine. So we never
It's
give up, no matter how difficult. We don't give up.
and we definitely wish you luck with that because it's an ongoing battle. It's never easy
It is.
for a woman to be single, and I don't want to play the woman card, but I definitely want to say it's never easy, and we've seen enough examples. I mean, there are a lot of examples with men as well that it's not been easy when they've been in the right. So, but talking about your situation, and just before I let you go, is um, top three, अगर मैं two या three, whatever numbers you feel comfortable with, मैं आपसे पूछूं, have been the most challenging times after you've got out of your marriage. तो कहाँ पर आपको ऐसा लगा कि क्या यार, मतलब the need for a father is there, या ये काम मुझसे नहीं होगा? Was there any time when you felt like that?
Yes, I can think of a few big challenges that not just me, anybody in this situation could face. And I have spoken to several other single parents or divorcees who had similar beats of challenges.
Yes.
Is that there is social ostracism or negative word of mouth that can easily spread. So when we talk of ostracism, it means that not including the person in a certain activity or keeping them at bay. So we've seen several examples of single parents families where friends have completely stopped visiting them or inviting them to social get-togethers. Even like among the educated or liberal members of the society, there's been visible discomfort in including single parents and their children in family get-togethers or family trips. It's not like what divorce is that matter of that 1 second. Is the decision happens in 1 second, right? It's not like
Yes.
immediately after that the personality of what that adult or the child were will suddenly change and become into some other creatures. It's not that. It's just that our perception of them changes, which brings in a bit of discomfort around it.
Yeah.
So generic comments like single parents can be spouse snatchers or their children can be brats can be quite disrespectful or hurtful at times. But in fact, what we observe when we work with various such families is that the single parents and the children are very grounded, strong, and mature because of the additional responsibility they carry on their shoulders.
Mm.
So it's this aspect of social ostracism that was something that many of them were taken by shock because we expect to be living in a liberal or a educated society. So,
Correct.
all that liberal thinking, all that comes into play when we watch such situation in movies or television series or in some distant part of the society. But when it happens within our vicinity, say within our friend circle or within our family circle, then bias sets in. So all the liberal thinking goes for a toss, and this bias setting in. We've seen educated society members defending acts of alcoholism or abuse. So
Yeah.
the stories go like, oh, it was a bad marriage. That's why he went into alcoholism. That's why he abused. Well, most of the times the alcoholism has always been there as an addiction. It's not triggered by the marriage. But even if we go by that story, if it's a
Yes.
bad marriage, it's bad marriage for both the parties, isn't it? ऐसा नहीं कि एक इंसान बहुत प्यार से खुशी से रह रहा है, दूसरा इंसान के लिए bad marriage है, ऐसा तो नहीं होता. So it eventually boils down to our individual choices, our own personalities or upbringing. कि आप, where do you find your anchor? We've seen several parents who can't do yoga, meditation for their strength. We've seen several parents who can't do addiction for the strength or support. So it eventually boils down to our own individual personalities and characters of what we choose. So
Correct.
it's sometimes hurtful to have generic statements and notions around in the society.
Absolutely. And I think these are some misconceptions जो बहुत हमारी society में, depending on how inward looking we are and how regressive sometimes we become, right? So हम लोग इस तरह की बातें करते हैं, एक tag लगा देते हैं कि what you just mentioned. So this social ostracizing is kind of something which is very hurtful. But as
And
long as you have a very strong family support, I'm sure you don't need anybody's validation because you know
and
your situation best.
that's true, but the unfortunate, it doesn't hurt as much as when it happens to the adults because they can handle it. It is more hurtful when the ostracism is subject to the children or
Correct.
even the parents of single parents. At those young or old age, they should ideally not be going through that. But hey, how? Hopefully, the conversation helps in that direction.
I think before we kind of end this show, Akshita, I do want to, bring that special message. And this is my take on it. Of course, please feel free to add yours. मुझे लगता है कि सबसे बड़ा एडवांटेज जो आपको मिला है वो है द एजुकेशन, right? And that's why it is very, very important to make sure that every girl, no matter what what background she comes from, no matter what her future is, as bright and rich as possible, she should be able to stand on her 2 feet, as we say, apne paon par khada hona, and definitely has to be independent. So that is the responsibility of the parents eventually. And if the
Absolutely.
parents are not able to do it for some reason, then it is the responsibility of every girl towards herself to make sure कि वो अपने आप कुछ ना कुछ करके अपने आप को तो संभाल ही सके, right? Of course, the next is to take care of the child and of course the whole family and be an equal supporter to the family. लेकिन ये बहुत ही basic एक need है of the hour, and I think every woman needs to do that. Apart from that, the strength, the kind of support that family can provide, the kind of self love, which we really have, वो बड़ा ज़रूरी है क्योंकि confidence उसी से आता है, right? Is there something that I missed which you think you can send out a message to all the women out there and also to the men, because this is kind of a
Yes,
message that goes both ways. As you said, both suffer if a
yes, yes. It's
relationship breaks. Yeah.
true. It's gender neutral. I think it's just two more things that I would like to add, which have been specifically requested by a few single parents to represent, is that generally when this divorce or separation happens, the single parents and divorcees, they become very conscious to reach out to friends
Yes.
because they do not want to be tagged as clinging on for favors. So
Yes.
they become conscious to reach out. So I think that is where if the friend circle can step a little closer, and take that first step to ask, are you coping well? That would be of great help. uh, it's not that they need to do any help. They don't have to come in and fix the light bulbs or anything. They don't have to do any favor. It's just letting us know, letting the certain situation, people in certain situation know that we are around you emotionally. That would be grateful. And another aspect, of course, like how you summed up it, we need to be educated, financially independent. I'm proud to say that I'm the financial controller for Asia Reinsurance in one of the largest insurance companies. So I'm extremely thankful to my parents for giving me that capability to stand on my feet. At the same time, there's something that I had not thought of as well, is the technical life skills. You know, जैसे I had never involved myself in the technical side of the house. So when he left the house, I had no idea कि अगर कोई tap leak होने लगा या flush leak होने लगा या कुछ टूट गया, I had no idea what to do. So it's very important to equip ourselves with the basic survival skills to, अगर even छोटा मोटा कुछ हो जाता है, we are able to manage it independently. क्योंकि contractors ऐसे छोटे कामों में आते नहीं है usually. अगर आते भी, they'll have their own charge. So it's important to be able to be truly independent and manage even these aspects of routine.
Absolutely, and I think वहाँ पर आपने वो काम भी संभालना शुरू कर दिया. Of course, Rishik is going to be a wonderful musician, a singer, and he's going to make you very proud as well. So thank you so much, Akshata. Just before you go, there is a message that says this is a very special show today. Great job. मेरे को ये बड़े प्यार से रेंज बुलाते हैं. And of course, more power to Akshata. Keep shining and setting examples, and that is beautiful. Of course, self-love. मैंने बात करी थी इसके बारे में, and Richika says a conversation on sensitive and delicate topic is never easy, but both of us handled it well. चलो भाई, ये तो validation मिल गई, बड़ी जरूरी होती है ये भी. So, but thank you so much, Akshata, and I can definitely say कि when you reached out to us, मुझे इस बात की खुशी हुई कि एक प्लेटफॉर्म ऐसा है जिसको आपने अपना समझा. And definitely, we are always there. And ऐसी inspiring stories, ऐसी strong women की या for males as well, anybody who can set an example and uplift the community in a very positive way. I think those are the stories that we always want to focus on, and you have totally added too much value and too much pride today to this platform. So well, National Girl Child Day तो मनाते ही रहेंगे हम, लेकिन आपने तो एक एग्जाम्पल इतना बढ़िया सेटअप किया है in terms of redefining strength. So thank you for being on the show, and keep going. If you ever need a shoulder, which I'm sure you never do, if you need an ear to listen to anything, I'm always there, as you know, and my team is always willing to just stand by you. Never have a moment of weakness. That's the important message.
Sure. Thank you so much, Renuka. Thank you for giving this opportunity to have this conversation openly. Usually it's brushed within the house doors of the house. It's so important to talk about it and address it together as a society. And I'll be only glad if it can help even just one other person in similar situation. Thank you so much.
I'm sure it will. Thank you so much for joining today, actually. कहते हैं ना that little girls with dreams become women with vision, and that's exactly what Akshata was all about today. Well, मुझे बहुत खुशी है इस बात की कि आज भी हमारी कम्युनिटी में जहाँ एक तरफ लड़कियाँ सोच लेती हैं that they've got married and they have a responsibility towards their children, towards their family, towards their parents, towards the larger community, to stay married irrespective of how the marriage is, right? It could get very toxic at times, लेकिन फिर भी important बात ये है कि आपस में बात करना, और अगर सोल्यूशन ना निकले तो अपने अपने रास्ते जाना, वो डिसीजन लेना बहुत मुश्किल है, लेकिन इम्पॉसिबल भी नहीं है. So the most important thing is to trust yourself, to love yourself, and to make sure that you create a better world, not only for yourself, but for everyone around you. On that note, thank you so much for tuning in today. And of course, यहाँ पर नेशनल गर्ल चाइल्ड डे मनाते हुए हम सब गर्ल चाइल्ड्स तो यहाँ से जा रहे हैं, और आप सब हमारे साथ जुड़े रहिए रेडियो मस्ती 24/7 पर, जो इस समय महक जी का शो चल रहा है, वहाँ पर जरूर जुड़िएगा. There's a lot of fun going on. Have a fantastic rest of the evening, guys. This is Renuka signing off from Masti Media Network and Masti AVI. जोश में रहो.